Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Miller, and I'm the CTO of DropTank. I'm here today to talk to you about how DropTank has leveraged Oracle Analytics, the Autonomous Database, and the OCI infrastructure to build our business. For those of you who are unfamiliar with DropTank, we were founded in 2012 by myself and Dave Van Wingeren. We recognized a gap in the fuel industry that does not allow fuel brands to leverage loyalty programs at a massive scale. So we, with our industry experience, launched DropTank. The intention is to go after major oil brand companies to allow them to further their member acquisition along with their station growth. If you're not aware, in the fuel industry, 65% of gas stations are owned by a single guy. This can create a very big challenge for the fuel brand and for CPG companies to leverage information and gain information to determine what their market share is and what they're selling at the stations. So we decided to take an opportunity with our experience to help the fuel brands grow their customer base, grow the analytics programs, and also increase transaction volume in retail. In order to do this, it requires a massive amount of data capture and analysis to ensure that we are reporting and able to help them grow. When we first started the company, analytics was not a major portion of our business. We were really only interested in beginning to gather information and create the network, because without the network of gas stations, you can't get the information. So our initial juncture into this system was built upon a very small, simple architecture. We leverage application servers along with MySQL databases in the Rackspace environment. Oracle was not in existence as a cloud provider at this moment in time. And we built that network with about 2,100 locations. Now, about 3 years ago, we then started launching in the Oracle Cloud. And when doing that, we had a couple of challenges we needed to match. We needed to be able to give our gas stations or the retailers a quick way to connect to our infrastructure directly. So we did that using leveraging Oracle SOA along with some custom development. We also needed to introduce a mobile application to our customers. So we introduced that via a mobile hub. That allowed us to not only store information, but it allowed us to engage with them via push notifications, as well as tracking information and the usage of our application. Now, all of this requires massive amounts of member management, points management, offer management. And in 2017, we launched with Oracle Loyalty Cloud as our loyalty engine. So that is where we maintained all of our data in terms of transactions, members, points, offers, and all of that data needed to be stored somewhere. So back then, Autonomous Data Warehouse was a fairly new product. And with Oracle's help, we launched the first production instance of ADW using a manual load process in order to begin performing analytics on our data. Now, the challenges with this architecture that we had in place was performance was a big challenge because we were only running in one region. We did not have failover. It was really hard to manage this. The scalability was not there. We had some reliability issues, and because this was built on old technology. So we needed to modernize this. So over the course of the last 2 years, we have taken and completely revamped our entire infrastructure. We now are running in 2 regions. As you can see here, we have expanded our East region to include our transaction processors. So these are the processors that process transactions coming from the gas stations. We've extended our SOA infrastructure to provide more scalability and more capacity. We have also begun leveraging a lot of the Oracle native cloud features. So for example, you can see that we are using streams to feed all of the data into logging analytics, object storage, which then leverages data integration, OCI DI, to feed those into ADW models, which can then be fed into our OAC. So all of this infrastructure was built around the concept that the data is the most important piece and we need to get it into a place which we can analyze it quickly. So we leveraged not only some of the underlying infrastructure and custom code, but we also started leveraging a lot of what Oracle OCI offers. So products like Data Safe and Data Catalog allow us to manage our databases from a business standpoint. We can see what's going on with our PI, where we have PII data and what we may have exposed and allow us to adjust quickly. We have data catalog over the entire governance so that we can understand what exact data do we have and where is it. We've leveraged the notifications, cloud guards, and operational insights in order to monitor and maintain. So with that reliability and scalability being a key part is addressed through that. We then also increased our security through things like VPNs, Fast Connects, CloudGuard. All of those products allow us to very quickly identify problems, challenges with our security infrastructure, and adjust accordingly. Now, all of this resides in the East region, and you'll notice that there is no reference to any of our loyalty platform. That's because we have extended our reach into the West region as well. So in our West region, we have a complete failover of our SOA infrastructure and our transaction processors, along with all of the logging analytics and object storage that goes along with it. We're leveraging the same OCI infrastructures to manage this environment. But what we have done is we have introduced a new loyalty engine on this platform in the West region that introduces a brand new set of APIs that leverages API gateways, a web application firewall, identity management through Oracle Cloud, our ATP instances, again, loyalty streams and API streams. All of that data that's being fed into the system is going into streams, then being fed into logging analytics and object storage. All of that information is then again fed back up into the East region so that we can feed them into our models and build out our systems. Why is this important? Well, let's talk about the loyalty platform to begin with. The loyalty platform has been replaced. Oracle Loyalty Cloud has been end of life and sunset, so we have replaced it with our own system, and that system is the heartbeat of any loyalty program. So what did we do with that since we had to replace it? We leverage autonomous databases, some MySQL. Those will be end of life here by the end of 2023. We have leveraging streams and functions. The streams and functions allow us to quickly react to things going on in the system, not only what's for monitoring and maintaining it through logging analytics, but we can also leverage that to engage with our consumers. We know when they are at the gas stations. We put that information into a stream and we can react and send them text messages or possibly push notification, create offers based on their past history that are immediately available to them. We do that through the use of functions in Kubernetes clusters. We use the Service Connector Hub to tie it all together to connect everything. So that way it gives us a very quick and manageable way in which we can add new features and functionalities. We can create the function to do the business logic, attach it to the loyalty stream that contains the trigger or the data information that we need, and then allow it to create or talk to another database or an external system. We use object storage as a means to store data that is not structured, which we have a lot of that through our streams. We leverage observability and management platforms for the alarms and notifications. Again, logging analytics is a paramount piece for our teams to be able to see what's going on in the system, engage when there might be a potential problem in the future. We use operational insights to manage and monitor our ATP instances, our ATJ, our ADW. And again, all of this is surrounded by VPNs, CloudGuard, IDCS, web application firewalls, along with a number of other security features that we built in order to protect not only the system itself, but our members and their PII data. So I wanted to give you, because it's important about how we're using the data and the infrastructure, I wanted to give you an insight into the loyalty platform and how we're using logging analytics and OAC to manage and maintain this. So this gives you an idea here of an example dashboard that we built using logging analytics with the data being fed using Service Connector Hub and streams that allow us to see our average response times to our mobile APIs. We can break it down by the member APIs, meaning those are things like where does things happen? When does this occur? We have activity APIs, which indicate transactional data. How many times are people requesting? What's the average response? And then we have a number of API services that orchestrate retrieving information from multiple backend systems. So what are those average response times through our orchestration services? Again, all of these dashboards are built not because we have created databases and tables. It is built on the means that we feed data into a stream. We leverage the Service Connector Hub architecture to connect to the logging analytics. We've written the parsers to parse the information coming in from the stream, which is very simple to do. No coding is required or low code. And then we're able to immediately make that available through the logging analytics tools that are provided. Again, this is just another view of some of the ways that you can build dashboards using the operations and manageability platform. You can break it down by errors. You can break it by programs. You can break it by whatever information you're being fed into the system. You can then take a breakdown of it and look at it in various ways. Okay, now I said we're a loyalty company, but we are also connected to over 7,500 gas stations throughout the US. And our main kickoff for any loyalty program is the ability to process transactions coming from those locations. So that's where our transactional platform comes into place. These represents the platforms that's communicating back and forth with the gas station. So in the event you go to a gas station and type your phone number in at the pump, that message and information is going to hit our processors, and we're going to leverage that information to provide you with either points against your account for the gallons that you purchased or products you purchased. We can leverage that information to send responses back to give you discounts on your gas based on your status in the program or the program itself. So the transaction processors are a critical component to our infrastructure. That's why we run this in multiple regions, okay? So we have a completely redundant system that is between our East and our West region that handles all inbound point of sale transactions. So when we built this out, our goals were, we needed it to perform. Nobody wants to stand at a gas pump waiting for a message coming back to tell you whether you're going to save gas or save on gas when it's 20 below zero out in the Midwest or in the Northeast. So performance is paramount. We needed to be able to manage it. So we leverage a lot of tools around the Oracle observability and management capabilities to do that. It needed to be scalable. So leveraging the SOA platform allows us to very quickly not only add nodes in each region, but also through the use of our load balancers and our network infrastructure, we can rotate between regions as well. So if one region is having a complete breakdown or issue, we have redundancy and failover to the other region. So that really helps with our reliability. But I think one of the biggest things that we've done with this is that it's allowed us to bring our new features to market much faster. Everything is being fed into streams. Data comes in and data is then reacted to. So when it hits the stream, we can very quickly have functions and use Service Connector Hub to tie to those streams to allow us to do things, as I said earlier, speaking about sending text messages, reminding people to go into the store, giving them operational offers immediate that they can react to. So it's become more resilient because we're leveraging more of the cloud native. It's a lower cost. But we can not only have analytics on the consumer data that we've been building out in our older system, but we can now have it based on our current system as well. So we look at operational analytics as an important piece, as well as our consumer analytics and our business analytics. Okay, now, one of the big things that has happened in the last few years is the concept of a modern data lakehouse. Drop Tank, because data has become paramount, has undergone in recent months a transition to move from a more traditional model of feeding data into your standard data warehouse directly to feeding it through a series of stages and staging it into a lake house where all the data lives and can very easily be governed and managed through the use of tools and products. The second piece that we always had problems with this was that it went directly from the application layer into the warehouse, and any changes to the application layer caused problems within our warehouse models. So we have embraced and begun building out, with Oracle's help, this concept of a modern data lakehouse that's leveraging not only ADW instances, but we're using ATP instances, autonomous transaction JSON databases, and object storage as well for all of our unstructured data. So as you can see here, everything begins on the left-hand side in the application layer, and we store data in our application layers in a lot of different data warehouse or data sources. ATP, ATJ, object storage, streams are just a few of them. What we're doing right now is we're building out the infrastructure that is leveraging the data integration layer of OCI in order to feed the data from the applications into a staging area. Now, in the staging area is where we're going to begin curating. That's where our curated data lives. So everything has become normalized. Dates, timestamps, case, PII information all resides there. And we use that staging area as a means to then feed into our different data marts, our data warehouses, if you will. So as data is fed in, it hits our data staging area. Our data staging area then curates it and then pipes it into the more specific models that are used for our insights and analytics, both data marts and our data warehouse. Now, this is important to us because that data refinement stage and that data staging database provides us the decoupling between the applications and our models. So as the applications are changing, we may impact our data staging feeds, but those are a very simple and quick update. It does not require a complete rewrite of our models that we had in the past. So that decoupling protects us and makes us more resilient and allows us to continue to progress the applications without having to worry about breaking our reporting. The second piece is that we're also feeding data into our streams, and our streams is being used to notify us of events and alerts within that system, within that data. So when we see things that either we shouldn't see or things that we're specifically looking for, we can leverage an event to cause or to react. We can generate an alert that notifies our teams, in which case we can then feed those into dashboards and analytics as well. So you can see we're not leveraging just a database with an ODI infrastructure. We're leveraging the whole gamut of capabilities that OCI has to offer. The autonomous platform, SOA, streams, functions, service connector hub, object storage, the observability, logging analytics, and operation insights, CloudGuard, VPNs, DataSafe, IDCS, data catalogs. All of that has been embraced and begun to be used by our teams and has allowed us to keep the team small, but also allowed us to move our platform in a more modern way. So to give you an idea of what kind of analytics we were able to produce with this new platform, you can see here some examples. In the past, when we were doing manual loads and it was just being fed into a singular model, everything really was being done by spreadsheets. We didn't have a lot of analytics capabilities, but our team over the last 2 years has really built out our analytics capabilities. And you can see here some examples of how that data being fed from our application layer is being used by our business teams. We can look at what our gallons are, how many gallons are sold in a day versus a week versus a month versus compared to last year. We can see how many members are being active in the program. Are we hitting our targets and our KPIs? How many sites are connected to the network and processing transactions today? How many of them are capable of actually rolling the price back at the pump, which is a key component right now, as you might imagine, versus those that are only on an earn capability. Again, more examples of how we've leveraged data analytics to make things available, or data for our customers as well as our business teams, so they can see what is the average gallons per visit. Where are they buying the gas? Are they buying it outside at the pump, or are they going inside? That's a key component. If they're going inside, are they buying anything when they're inside? What's their CPGs? Are they buying products? And if so, what are those products, right? So we can look at it from that perspective. We can look at our mobile transactions versus non-mobile. A mobile transaction is merely, did you pay with the mobile app that's available from the brand, or did you pay at the pump by sliding your card in the more traditional sense? We can see how many transactions did people earn. We can report on that very quickly. We can look at the total burns, total burn transaction, how many people use points. We can then report on how many points did they use in a given day, and how many did we put out there and assign to accounts. Again, you can see over the course yet another example of how leveraging the Oracle Analytics platforms is showing the growth of the program over last year versus this year. So here you can see that we in 2021, this customer reported 122.24 million gallons on the loyalty program. And the same customer already in 2022 is at 111 million. So you can see that we're predicting that they're going to grow that because of the program by almost 24% increase in gallons over the prior year. That is a big win for not only the fuel brand, but also the jobbers. Those independent dealers reflect that in their sales and see that growth as well. So that becomes an important part of their journey with loyalty. So what have we learned over the last few years with growing our platform and our program? The first thing was embrace new approaches. We did not take a look at this and lock ourselves into one approach fits all the time. We needed to take a look of what is the best solution for our program that allows us to be resilient, scalable, and react. Loyalty is a very fast moving industry. So whatever you're doing today, somebody else is going to be doing it tomorrow, and you need to be able to react and move accordingly for that. A big piece of what makes it a second thing that you need to consider when you're doing this is designing and deciding your network and architecture before choosing the tools to help you build. So it is extremely important that you have your overall network and architecture thought out, designed, incorporated, considered through all facets before you start talking about what are the tools you're going to use within it. Because it is very hard once you've built it to go back and change your network architecture. A third thing is use documentation and tagging. That is so critical for not only being able to identify your resources from a management standpoint, but also it's important from your standpoint of budgeting. They provide so many ways in which tagging resources will allow you to view things within not only the cloud, but your budgeting, your reporting, and everything else in between as it relates to your cloud environment. Documentation is critical. documentation of your designs, making sure that your team understands them. It not only helps them understand, but it also helps as you onboard new members to your team. They can very quickly look at that and understand what's going on. A fourth piece that is very critical to cost control is constant consumption and cleanup of unused resources. So, whenever you're building things out like this, you're going to provision services that may be used long term, some that are used short term, some that may not be used at all, that were thought that you would use them, but you didn't. Make sure that you have a process, whether it's weekly or monthly, to review the consumption, review your budget, make sure you're staying within it, and anything that you're not using, clean it up and destroy it, because otherwise you're going to increase your costs to the point that it's going to become unmanageable. One of the last things I would say is networking knowledge and your network architecture is critical. Understanding how to protect or how the networks communicate with each other is extremely important for app developers and DBAs. I can't tell you how many times or how critical it become when you're trying to connect an application to a database and it's not working. And it really boils down to it was just a network issue. Maybe a routing table did not have the correct route, or you've got two networks that are not able to communicate with one another. But it is extremely important that they have a general knowledge and understanding of how the network was laid out. So again, it comes back to designing, deciding, and documenting your network and your architecture. And finally, the most important thing that has made us successful and given us the ability to move as quickly as we have is leveraging Oracle as a resource. So we utilized and built this using various services. The Cloud Lift Services program has helped us build out when we've had areas in which we had resource constraints. Wasn't that we didn't understand the technology, wasn't that we didn't want to use the technology, we just didn't have the resources and the time to build it out. So Cloud Lift Services, they came in, they put together a team, we put together a very targeted statement of work, and they were able to very quickly help us build this out and then provide knowledge transfer over to our existing team to take it over and continue that as we went forward. Another program that we've used is Code Innovate. That was an extremely important program because our team needed to be taught on how to use Oracle Analytics. They needed to be taught how to properly use functions that read from streams. All of that was new technology, new infrastructure that we had never used before. So we put together programs with Oracle. They came in, provided training, and got our team up to speed very quickly. That allowed us to not only build this out, but sustain it and progress it in a way we needed. So that's the end of my presentation today. I hope that I've provided you with some insight into how DropTank has been able to leverage Oracle Analytics and clouds to progress our business, the tools that we're using and why they're so important. And I hope that you can take some information from this and help grow your business as well. Thank you.